You know, we spend so much time online these days,
Yeah.
tapping and swiping and streaming.
Right.
It's easy to think of the internet as like this purely digital thing, right?
Absolutely.
Like it exists out there somewhere.
The cloud.
The
Yeah.
cloud, exactly.
Yeah.
But what if there's more to it?
Mm.
Like something we don't usually see or think about, maybe
Yeah.
even some unexpected presences.
Ooh, that's getting interesting.
I know, right?
I like where this is going.
So that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Okay.
The idea of internet ghosts.
The internet ghosts.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at it from two totally different angles.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so first we have this artist, Evan Roth.
Okay.
And he got funding from this group called the Awesome Foundation.
I love that name.
I know, right?
Awesome Foundation.
So Roth is using actual ghost hunting equipment.
What, like
Yeah.
the stuff you see on those paranormal shows?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
To explore the physical infrastructure of the internet.
Wow, so he's looking for the internet's ghosts in a literal sense.
You could say that,
Okay.
but then we also have this BBC article,
Yeah.
and they talk about internet ghosts in a totally different way.
How so?
They're talking about all these Internet of Things devices.
Right, IoT?
Yeah, IoT devices that have become like digital ghosts
Okay.
because they're forgotten or broken, but they're still out there sending useless data and even causing security risks.
So we've got these two contrasting ideas of internet ghosts.
Exactly.
On the one hand, we have this artist trying to find something almost mystical in the actual network.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, there are these very real but hidden digital remnants that can cause actual problems.
It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah. I'm really curious to dig into both of these.
Let's start with Evan Roth then.
Okay.
So he's got this whole setup,
What's he using?
full spectrum video cameras.
Okay, so those pick up light we can't even see.
Right. And thermal flashlights.
It's heat signatures.
Exactly. And get this, he's even got an electronic voice phenomenon recorder.
An EVP recorder.
Yeah, you know, like to capture those spooky sounds that we can't hear.
Wow, he's going all out.
And he's taking all of this gear to these places where the internet actually has a physical presence.
Like server farms and stuff.
Well, yeah, but he's going even deeper than that.
Oh.
He's going to the spots where the transatlantic fiber optic cables come ashore.
Those are the cables that connect the U.S. and Europe, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's interesting because he sees a connection between these ghost hunting tools and something like social media.
Huh. In what way?
Well, he says they're both trying to connect with things we don't see face to face.
That's a good point.
Like ghosts in one case.
And people far away in the other.
Yeah. And Roth says he's not even sure if he believes in ghosts or not.
He's just fascinated by the technology.
Exactly.
And what it says about us.
Exactly, like our desire to connect with things beyond ourselves.
That's deep.
I know, right?
So where exactly is he going with all this gear?
He's focusing on these coastal towns in England and Wales.
Okay.
And these are the exact points where those giant undersea cables come ashore.
So he's literally standing where the internet touches land.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is.
And the locations he's chosen, they're not just random spots on the coast.
What do you mean?
These are places with tons of history.
Like what?
Castles and cemeteries, abandoned prisons.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, and these areas are also known for paranormal activity.
So he's going to these places where the most advanced technology meets these ancient mysteries.
Exactly.
That's such a cool juxtaposition.
It really is.
And what kind of data is he hoping to collect?
Well, he's going to use the ghost hunting equipment, of course.
Right, EVP recordings,
Yeah.
thermal readings.
Yeah, all of that. But he's also going to collect data from public computer terminals.
Like in libraries and internet cafes.
Yeah, things like browsing history and cached data.
So he's combining the physical world with the digital world.
Yeah, he's interested in both the physical internet.
The cables, the servers, the actual hardware.
Exactly, and what he calls the spiritual internet.
What does he mean by that?
The way the internet affects our lives, and even death.
Like how we use it to connect with people who have passed away.
Yeah, things like that.
So he's looking at the internet as this force that's both tangible and intangible.
Exactly.
It's making me think about those coastal towns in a whole new way.
Right.
Like they're not just quiet seaside towns anymore
They're portals.
to the digital world.
And maybe even something beyond.
I wonder if people living in those towns realize what's beneath their feet.
I know, right?
Okay, so that's one type of internet ghost.
The artistic, mystical kind.
Right.
But now let's shift gears and talk about the other kind.
The ones from the BBC article.
Yeah, the ones that are a little more down to earth.
And maybe a little creepier.
Yeah, because these aren't ghosts in the traditional sense
They're more like digital remnants.
of the devices we use every day.
The ghosts in our machines.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell me more about these.
Well, the article talks about how the Internet of Things is exploding.
IoT,
All
right?
right. And back in 2014, they predicted there would be 26 billion connected devices by 2020.
Wow, and that's not even counting computers and smartphones.
Exactly. It's just all the other stuff.
Like what?
Smart coffee makers, traffic lights,
Yeah.
smart dustbins, even weighing scales.
So basically anything can be connected these days.
Pretty much. And the problem is that a lot of these devices become ghosts.
How does that happen?
Well, sometimes they just keep sending signals even when they're not being used.
Like my smart coffee maker is telling the internet it's on even when I'm not making coffee.
Exactly. Or a sensor in a smart dustbin could be malfunctioning and sending useless data.
So it's like digital clutter.
Yeah, and it all adds up what they call
Yes.
ghost traffic.
Ghost traffic.
Yeah, and it's a huge amount of data.
How much are we talking?
Back in 2014, this guy, Gunter Ullman, estimated that 20 to 40% of all data transfer space was being used by these redundant connections.
Wow, that's a lot of wasted bandwidth.
And energy, too.
So it's not just a digital problem, it's a physical problem too.
Exactly. And that was back in 2014.
I can only imagine what it's like now.
Yeah, probably even worse.
So this ghost traffic is slowing down our internet and wasting energy.
But that's not even the worst part.
There's more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hit me with it.
The really scary part is that these ghost devices can be hacked.
What? How?
Well, if a company starts supporting a device,
Or if someone just forgets about an old gadget
right, then the internet address for that device becomes available again.
and someone else can take it over.
Exactly.
So like a hacker could control my old smart coffee maker?
It's possible.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, and it's not just hypothetical.
Wow.
There have been real cases of baby monitors being hacked.
That's terrifying.
I know.
So what can hackers do with these ghost devices?
Well, it depends on
Yeah.
the device and the hacker's intentions.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a prank.
Like putting funny pictures on someone's smart fridge.
Yeah, stuff like that, but it can be much more serious.
Like what?
They could inject ads onto your smart TV,
Ugh, I hate ads.
or they could eavesdrop on you through your devices.
That's not good.
And in some cases, they could even disable critical functions.
Oh no, like turning off your heat in the middle of winter.
Yeah, or messing with your car's brakes.
That's scary.
It can get really dangerous, especially with things like medical devices.
So we're talking about real world harm?
Potentially, yes.
That's unsettling.
It is. It's like losing control of something you own.
Yeah, you buy a device for one purpose and then years later it could be used against you.
And you might not even know it.
So how do we protect ourselves from these ghost devices?
Well, that's the tricky part.
What do you mean?
Securing these devices is really hard
Why?
because there's so many different types,
Yeah,
and they're often really small with very limited processing power.
so it's hard to build in strong security features.
Exactly, and that means a lot of the responsibility falls on us.
On the users
Yeah, we have to be mindful of the devices we connect,
and keep track of them, even after we stop using them.
which is a lot to ask.
It is. Most people don't even think about it.
Yeah, we're already overwhelmed with passwords and updates for our computers and phones.
Who has time to manage every single smart device in their house?
I know, right?
It's like this hidden network of potential problems just waiting to happen.
And most of us are completely unaware.
Okay, so we've got these two very different ideas of internet ghosts.
The artistic kind and the practical kind.
What can we learn from all of this?
Well, they both point to these hidden aspects of the internet.
Things we don't usually think about.
Right, like Roth's project reminds us that the internet has a physical presence.
It's not just this abstract cloud.
Exactly. It relies on cables and servers and all this infrastructure that we rarely see.
And the BBC article reminds us that our devices can have these unintended consequences,
Like digital clutter and security risks.
even after we've stopped using them.
It's like they take on a life of their own.
Digital ghosts. So what does this all mean for us?
Well, it means we need to be more aware of the devices we connect to the internet.
And the potential risks they pose.
We need to think about their lifespan and how to manage them even after we're done with them.
Because they might still be out there lurking in the digital shadows.
Like ghosts.
Yeah.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of internet ghosts.
It really makes you think.
It does, and it leaves me with a question for you, the listener.
Oh, I like where this is going.
What other unseen aspects of our digital lives might be worth exploring?
That's a good one.
Like our digital footprint?
the trail of data we leave behind.
Or the energy consumption of this vast network we've created.
These are all things we should be thinking about.
Because the internet might be intangible, but its impacts are very real.
And they're only going to grow in the future.
So let's keep exploring.
Absolutely. There's so much more to discover beneath the surface.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, stay curious.
And stay safe online.